from PRX.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. It's time for the podcaster who loves making this show so much it makes me want to sing, but I won't because it's my job not to, because I'm trying to, people say, Scoots, when you sing, it throws me off. So I say, don't worry, I'm here to sing. I'm singing in my heart, believe me. Holy cow, can you feel it? Oh, boy. I'm singing and I'm kissing my shoulders because it's time. And if you're new, you may say, what in the hey? And what did he just say, hey, 3 times? Or was that and I say, yep, you're in the right place. It's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And here's a couple of ways we're able to bring this podcast to twice a week for free. All right, everybody, it's Scoots here, and right as we're rolling into episode 1000 right around now, thank you so much for all the feedback you gave me about our Patreon membership program, about being a rebel and paying for a free podcast, especially the patrons or the former patrons that reached out and let me know their favorite things and say, hey, Scoots, I think you just need to communicate some of this clearer. And also the fact it's okay not to be a patron. Between the Patreon and the sponsors and the listeners who support the sponsors, that's what keeps the podcast optional. You can either listen to the ad-supported thing, you could join our referral program, or you could join our Patreon, but you don't have to be a patron. It's totally optional, but one of the main things that $10 patrons that listen to the free show and the Patreon show let me know about is the all intro episodes. They love the ad-free episodes. They love the archives. But that was pretty much the number one thing I got feedback about from $10 patrons was that they get all intro episodes twice a month, exclusive just to $10 and $20 level. And there's so many people, they said, I just make a playlist of all intro episodes. I love the intros. And there's also people that love the story-only episodes, all-night episodes. So if you're a $10 and up patron, or you say, hey, I love the show, I get way more than $10 out of it every month, and I love intros, or I love story-only, I love the options you're talking about. Check out our Patreon at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. It's sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. And if you're already a patron, get that bonus content set up in a podcast tab so you can be listening to those all intro episodes. You can say, hey, I start my night with a free one of the episodes from the free feed, and then I go to all intro episodes, or I go to story-only episodes. And that's the flexibility that the membership program offers me on Patreon, is to offer a little bit wider variety. So check that out, sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thanks, everybody. Sleep With Me is brought to you by Progressive. Are you thinking more about how to tighten up your budget these days? Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average, and customers can qualify for an average of 6 discounts when they sign up. A little off your rate each month goes a long way. Get a quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed in 2020. Potential savings will vary. Discounts vary and are not available in all states and situations. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, BetterHelp. And I can tell you from personal experience, not just for myself on a weekly basis, but from other people in my life that I care about, professional counseling makes a huge difference in your quality of life, in manageability, and flourishing, and being there for the ones you love, and being there for yourself. So if you're feeling depressed, if you're struggling with relationships, you're having difficulty sleeping or meeting your goals, BetterHelp offers online professional counselors who can listen and help. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in as little as 48 hours. And it's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online. It's also so easy to use, but there's a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally available in many areas. The service is available for clients worldwide. It's easy to log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you could schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you don't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling counseling, and financial aid is available. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. And our podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and our listeners get 10% off their first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/sleepwithme. That's betterhelp.com/sleepwithme. Get matched with a BetterHelp therapist and get started. All right, everybody, it's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone, the one part of the podcast I need you to hear. It's where I pop my peas, if you please. Thank the listeners who supported the sponsors. If you support a sponsor, just go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors and fill out the form. Let the sponsor know about it. Let me know about it. And I'm going to try to make these as short as possible. I'm trying to tighten them up, be a little bit faster. And the way I get able to do these short is from people that support the sponsors and let them know about it, like Charlie, who supported Helix and Allform. Charlie got a Helix Twilight and then a light gray Allform 3-piece Chase Lounge set for their new apartment. Let Helix and Allform know about it. Thank you so much, Charlie. Make sure if you feel support a sponsor, maybe go as short as I can because of the people that support the sponsors and amplify their support. Thank you so much, Charlie, again. That's the first part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The second part is you getting the support you need. There's links in our show notes. Take that step if you need some extra help right now. It's about supporting the members of our community with our actions, being a part of positive change, saying Black Lives Matter, saying stop AAP, I hate, with how we behave, what we do. There's links to organizations you can connect with in the show notes, and it's about something I support, and that's migrant justice. You can go to migrantjustice.net to find out more to support them. They're starting the Milk with Dignity program. Migrant Justice's mission is to build the voice, capacity, and power of the farm worker community and engage community partners to organize for economic justice and human rights. You can find out more at migrantjustice.net, and that is the end of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the Legend also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mr. Bart. Don't forget to sign up for our free referral program to earn rewards. sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer. Now it's time to slow it down and get on with the show. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is to create a safe place where you can set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature, routine, things you're thinking about, or, from the past, present, or future, emotions related to those things, or maybe not, maybe just baffling ones, or physical sensations, or, anything else, whatever's keeping you awake. I'd like to take your mind off it. I'd like to create a safe place, earn your trust, where you could relax, get more comfortable in your bed or your couch, wherever you're sleeping right now. And what else? Take your mind off of that stuff. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send my voice across the deep dark night. I'm gonna use lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous, rustified tangents, filler words, I'll be I'll be pumping filler words up like I ran a bike shop. You see, everything at this bike shop, first of all, it's more of an inner tube shop. And I'd say, well, we'll agree to disagree. But they'd say everything here is overinflated. And I'd say, except the prices. That would be the commercial. And they say, well, can you put the money down at first? Because it does look like you have an inner tube shop and not a bike shop. Oh, no, you haven't heard of this. It's the new thing I just thought of. It's called, it's inner tube. It's a new thing. It's like total way to relax, get in shape. You've heard of CrossFit, right? Yeah, you've heard of running, Ironman, swimming, the Gene Atlas or whoever that person was. Yeah, that's incorrect. But yes, we've heard of those things. Well, this is a new thing. You got biking, you got hiking. And, and you have those like ancient things. People say, oh, in the olden days, we ate like this and, we hunted and we gathered. Okay, we're with you so far. Aren't you in the middle of a podcast? I am, but I'm now making a point. It doesn't make any sense. And yeah, we're at the dawn of a new age, but not that far from the past. I'll be right back with you with this sales pitch. I got to get to the new listener. So I'm going to send my voice. I'm going to go off topic, just like I just did there. And here's the thing, a few things if you're new. There's an intro. This intro is not a commercial or a self-promotion thing. This is a show within a show to keep you company and to help you get ready for bed, to help you start to unwind, maybe to put you to sleep. The majority of people use it as part of their wind-down routine. Some people fall asleep during it. About 3% of people skip this and go straight to the story, which is generally around 20 minutes into the show. But the intro is kind of like something familiar. That's why it's part of the bedtown wind-down routine. That was also a variety show I was once on. But the bedtown wind-down routine, I think, it was a routine. That was the Gong Show. That was when I was a kid, and I dreamed one day of being a guest on the Gong Show. That was a TV show. I think it was rebooted a few years ago. Okay, where was I, though? Oh, so if you're new, the intros don't make a lot of sense, at least initially, but it's like a 12-minute portion of the show where I set the mood. I set the mood by saying, here, I'm going to explain how the podcast works. Then I get off topic, and I imagine a new fitness business that I'll explain maybe later, and relaxation. Not just about fitness, by the way. I mean, I'm thinking of a name of it, so there's an intro. That's how a show starts. It starts with a few minutes of business, then there's a 12-minute intro. Maybe it's 14, maybe it's 16, sometimes it's 18. Then there's some business, and then there's a bedtime story. Tonight it'll be from our new season of series, Big Farm in the Sky PI. So it'll be... Yeah, so that's a structure show. Then there's some thank yous at the end. And so that's the structure of the show. If you're also new, you don't need to listen, and the show may not make a whole lot of sense to you. And, of course, you may be coming to this skeptical or tired. And if you're tired I feel you, I know. And you say, well, I really want something that's finally going to work for me. I hope you give this show a try, and I hope it helps. But normally... for literally 98% of people I've heard from, they say, it took a few tries before I understood that the podcast is nonsensical in a way I haven't encountered before. You see, it doesn't make any sense, but not in it doesn't even not make sense in a normal way, which is a good thing. So just see how it goes. But you don't need to listen to me. You don't have to pay attention. And there's also no pressure to fall asleep. The shows are an hour so that I can be here and you can fall asleep at your leisure. Fall asleep as you wish. I'm here to keep you company, not really to put you to sleep, but to keep you company as you drift off. And to take your mind off of stuff with, wild outside of the box ideas, outside of the inner tube box, where, we've got well, sir, it looks like you just have bicycle pumps and inner tubes. And I'd say, well, that is what we have exactly. And here at a tube town. Maybe that's what we'll call it. And yes, maybe we do have tube town tube tops. And this is a franchisable thing one day. That's Tube Town, LLC, future something. I like the way that sounds, but it's a place where there's a tube for everybody, multiple tubes. We have multiple size tubes. I'll tell you what, we got our Q&A, not a Q&A in the back, an R&D department in the back. We're working on hexagonal tubes, square tubes. And you say, well, what kind of wheel would that fit in? I said, these are just tubes here to be pumped up. Here, grab a pump. Do you prefer a foot pump or a hand pump or something, with no electricity? That's what I was saying. At the dawn of humanity, this is on one of our other commercials I'm working on. There was a time, and then there was a development, and then there was a dawning of two wheels and gears and chains and those things. And, changes in tires and then there was inner tubes within tires, and those would go flat or low on air, and they would need to be pumped with vigor or slow and steady motion. But at some point, that too became mechanized or automated, and maybe even machine learning got involved by the time you're hearing this message. And one thing we lost when we lost the ability to pump our own tubes was the joy of tube pumping. And here at Tube Town, we've brought the joy of tube pumping back, and we found that it's a fourfold path of tube pumping. The joy of, inflation, the pressure relief of overinflation, the irony, and just a general sense of well-being caused by pumping up tubes and overpumping them, or for some, draining the tubes. And you might say to yourself, sir, do you have Schrader valves or the other ones? Which one? And I say, we got them all. Those other ones, the long, thin ones, we got those. Those may be Schraders. I'm not sure. There's I don't know my difference between a piston and a staple. That's a little mechanical flower humor there. But, we got tubes, we got valves, we got it all. And here's the thing. You could take your tubes home and you say, what else do we have to do at Tube Town? We want to have a birthday party there. And I'd say, oh, boy, your kids are in for a treat. Once we have the birthday party packages, there'll be tube painting, tube-shaped cakes, of course. Tube tops, no tube tops are for taking home. You've heard of hula hooping? We've got tuba hooting and hula hooping. We haven't thought of a term for that, but with tubes, tube rolling, oh boy. Here at Tube Town, all available for one low price. Come today. Also, everything comes with a smile here at Tube Town. I may have just invented a whole new, what are those called? Vertical? Is that a vertical or a horizontal? Look out, miniature golf courses and all those other places you're supposed to have birthday parties. Because Tube Town's coming. We'll move in. Is that a pop-up? No, this is it's a kind of a pop-up shop. It's inflatable. We're Tube Town. Anyway, sorry, I went off topic there, but maybe it seems like generally there's something reasonable about my unreasonable ideas, I believe, in a way that hopefully took your mind off whatever is keeping you awake. And here's the thing, I'm here to keep you company, not to over-engage you, because you might, I tell you what, if you've never pumped a tube like that before, and you're saying these tubes are outside of the wheels. I say, yeah, unless, you can make a request. We could put it within a wheel. But the giant tubes are outside of wheels. You say, wait a second, you have giant tubes? We have the world's largest tube within our shop, the largest tube in the world that's in our shop. We've got big tubes. If you're training for something involving, your upper body or your lower body. We're working with other gyms on a program But for the most part, it's just a general, we're working on getting to all the retirement communities and the grammar schools. We're going to have it all covered. Not to overinflate my value, but so I'm here to keep you company, really. That's really what I'm here for. And to take your mind off stuff. I've been there. And, believe me, once I start running the numbers on this thing, I say, why wouldn't this work? I mean, I think, seriously, if you have access to an inner tube, this would be a free home-based business for now. Joy, not a business. Just go ahead, pump it up, and paint it, and let me know about it. But for the time being, I'm ideally here to walk at your side as you drift off. I'm here to keep you company, because I really believe you deserve a good night's sleep. I work very hard at the show because I strive and I earn to help you fall asleep. And I really appreciate you coming by and checking it out. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show going. Hey, everybody, Scoots. Before we move on here, I just want to let you know about sleep phones. I don't know if you've ever checked out our sleep phone store lately, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. We've got custom sleep phones. We've got a bunch of new bands you could check out. It's the most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me. Soft headphones in a headband, perfect for bedtime. They have 3 different models, a corded one, a wireless one, and then one with wireless charging. Listeners love them. I love them. I run in sleep phones. I use sleep phones when I sleep on the road. I keep a pair in my suitcase all the time. And you could get yours, the most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me, at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. And be sure to use the promo code Sleep With Me. It'll save you a little bit of money on your order. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones, and use Sleep With Me at checkout. Thanks, everybody. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, so stuff you're thinking about, physical sensations, stuff in your body, emotional things coming to the surface or below the surface, whatever's keeping you awake. It could be travel, it could be temperature, or thoughts about any of that stuff. It could be anything. I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off that. I think I said, so I got this safe place here. I'm making plenty of room. Smoothing it, I'm patting it, I'm rubbing it down, I'm saying safe place. And okay, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, extra stuff. I'm going to go off topic. I'm going to bounce around. I'm going to be like a slow motion pinball machine, particularly tonight, because that's where this crossover happens and at the unveiling of a pinball machine. You might even know what a pinball machine is, so I'll even fill you in on that. Not super important because it's actually a sleep podcast. So if you're new, here's a couple of things. I'm here to keep you company in the deep, dark night because I've been there. But this show is very different than anything normally is. It's outside the norm because just the design of the show. So I want to give you a heads up and make sure you feel extra welcome and cozy. And because of course you're skeptical. If you're new, you say, "What is this thing?" I don't like. Of course you don't get it. Of course you're. Of course I'm. I could be mildly. You'd say, "I'm not sure about this." Okay, that's cool. I'm glad you're here because I'm just here to help. And it's an totally optional thing. So let me give you a little bit of extra information. I guess that was my point. So the show, all told, is about an hour. And here's the structure of the show, because it's kind of a slow-moving show. Kind of like when you not everybody's played video games in arcades anymore. But maybe everybody's familiar with vending machines And so this podcast can kind of start out with dealing with the initial exchange if you're dealing with actual currency in a vending machine. Where you say, is this even, did it take that coin or not? Is it going to spit that dollar back out? So this show, I don't know what those two things have to do with each other. Actually, I was hoping to get a metaphor out of there. And now I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to see. B4, that's what I want to, that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get that B4. Okay, I'll just wait. I think he took my money. But so the show starts off structurally. Here's a couple of things. The show starts off with a few minutes of business, and that's how we keep 300 high-quality episodes going, is the business at the top of the show there. Then there's an intro to the show. Now, normal intro is about 2 or 3 minutes. This show has an intro that really is, in some sense, magical in the illusion sense. It's stretched out and long to help ease you into bedtime. And it's also like a multi-use intro. So it takes me somewhere between 11 and 18 minutes to explain that this is a podcast to keep you company while you fall asleep. And the reason it takes so long is, I don't know, like long-term listeners seem to like it, but because you could also skip it. You could say, well, I'd rather just get to the part with it makes a sound, a pinball machine or whatever you're teasing here, story. I'd say, okay, you could skip it to ahead about 18 minutes. It'll start there. But yeah, the intro is kind of ease you into bedtime, get you comfortable. It gets you, if you're new, to say, well, okay, let me try to explain this podcast. And I'm not trying to confuse you even more, but that ends up being the results. And then you could fall asleep. So some listeners fall asleep during the intro. Some listeners wind down, or it's part of their routine as they're getting ready for bed. Some listeners skip it. And then more and more people I hear from, they also kind of listen during the day. For a different kind of wind down, during the day wind down. So there's really no wrong way to use it. Like initially, kind of see how it goes, test it out. And most listeners say it took 2 or 3 tries before I understood that the podcast is it's incomprehensible in a positive way. Ideally, that would be the ideal. So the structure show, so there's the intro that I'm explaining, and I've been explaining for 4 minutes. Then there's some business between the intro and the show. And then there's the story part, which tonight we'll be talking about. It makes a sound, and this makes a sound, and pinball enthusiast I met, who made dedicated a pinball machine it makes a bespoke pinball. We'll get to it. And that'll be about 45, 55 minutes. And there's some thank yous at the end of the show. So that's the structure of the show. Here's the other things. You don't, like, this is the kind of podcast where listening is optional. If you choose to listen or you can't fall asleep, that's the main reason why it's optional. I promise it'll be mild and meandering. And it'll have superfluous tangents and me getting mixed up, and then, filler words, corny jokes, goof, being a goof, and that kind of stuff. Friendly banter, of course. Oh man, I love it when you bring up friendly banter. You got me. I don't know if that was my attempts at friendly banter. You got me there. That wasn't friendly banter. You totally bantered me on my banter fail. Oh, you holy. But, what was I saying? Oh, you don't need to listen to me, but you can. So you could kind of turn down the volume to whatever you're comfortable, or just kind of listening as I tune out. You say, okay, well, Scoots isn't making a whole lot of sense here. I say, well, it's a pleasant enough tone. And every once in a while, he's, I can see, I do like pleasant banter. So you don't need to listen, but there's also no pressure to fall asleep. The reason the shows are structured and complete, and say it has a long intro that's new every time, and then a new story, and it comes out twice a week, is
and the shows are over an hour or right around an hour, so you don't have any pressure to fall asleep. You got plenty of room. You have plenty of episodes ready to go as backup. I'm here as much to put you to sleep as I am to keep you company while you fall asleep, or to be here to take your mind off of stuff if you can't sleep. So whatever one of those works for you tonight is how I hope that's the role I hope the podcast serves. And I guess I was trying to make a metaphor about pinball, which in some sense isn't too hard because for me, I like playing pinball, but by no means am I skilled at it. And there are like different ways to say, I think there's pinball rankings, but I play it for fun. I say, well, I kind of like it. I more like it because the games are, they're different than arcade games or video games. And they have this rich, usually the better ones have some sort of story, and then they have a limited amount of things you can do, but the things you can do, they're kind of hard. And a lot of times you do one thing, it causes another thing to happen. So a bit like those, whatever those things are called, where you say, well, like Pee Wee Herman built, like Pee Wee Herman's Kitchen or whatever, where you crack an egg, then it leaks, and, that makes the donut, go around so that you get your breakfast on time. I forgot what those are called. But eventually I'll remember some kind of machine. And I don't know. So I just like it. So I'm not good at it. And then the ball's rolling. I find it soothing and I find it fun. Sometimes I don't find it. I find it a little bit, it doesn't work for me. And some days, I say, well, I guess I'm not consistently. Some days I say, wow, I'm really nailing it here. Really feeling that left flipper. Oh, so pinball machine, just in case. So there's arcade games, which are like video games that you put quarters in or money in, or now you go to these video game restaurants or pubs or museums and play them. And the pinball machines are the ones that actually are physical machines. So they usually have a ball in there and you flick it with flippers and stuff. Very sleepy stuff. I mean, we say, what are the top 10 sleepy things in the world? Oh, pinball machines, for sure. But yeah, if you slow it down, the rolling of a ball, and in this case, it's more steeped in this person's interest in fandom. I always find fandom very soothing, and the depth of details that absorb fans and what they fixate on. So that's really what tonight's story will be about, is a fan of pinball, and it makes a sound. But if you're new, the podcast is here to keep you company while you fall asleep. It's that simple. Because I have trouble sleeping, and when I do, it's not out, it's tough to kind of break up whatever it is. It's that mechanism that starts grinding or churning. And then you go from it being a benign thing where you say, well, I just want to get to sleep, to being more aggravating, I guess, and not to use an intense word, but that's pretty low on the intensity meter. So I guess that's it. I mean, the main thing is, if you're new, give it a few tries. That's what everybody says that listens. I'm working on a version of the website. So if the show doesn't work for you, you're listening right now and you're like, oh no, I don't think I like this podcast, or you go to, but if you still want some help, sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thanks. Or no, thank you. Either one should work eventually when I get around to making it. And that'll give you some other resources to check out, to sleep to. Because, I've been there, even with this podcast, because it doesn't work for everybody. So those are some options. The main message is I really appreciate your time in checking the show out. And I really hope I can help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple ways we keep the show going. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble with getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Welcome to Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts,
feelings, physical sensations, like anything keeping you up. Changes in work schedule, routine, travel, new family members, no offense, adult parents, older family members, any family members, soundly sleeping bed mates. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders. There's a first time for everything on this podcast. For the first time in this, I don't know if this is going to work, and I don't even know really why. When you catch yourself doing something physically, and you say, well, that's interesting, Drew, Scoots, what are you up to there? I have what is that? So this is my right hand, and I have my right index finger. The rest of my hand is kind of closed, but my right index finger is out in a kind of hook pointing position to the left part of my forehead. No, the right part of your left brain. It is on the right side of my forehead. And it's just perched there, like kind of like I was pointing to something, or if I was touching something, but I don't have anything that says, I want to touch that. See, am I getting my, are my hormones going? It wasn't that saying, oh boy, I'm prepubescent, got some acne. And it wasn't a little, just scratchy poo. I just found my finger there. Now, actually, I do, what a phlebotomist is, someone that can read the fold, anyway, I don't want to I'm supposed to be setting this up, and also my arm's getting tired. But yeah, my finger's just up there. Kind of like I was saying, I'm thinking. But what made me say, I'm thinking is, hey, body, what are you doing? So maybe maybe somewhere in another universe, I'm thinking about something. Here, I'm just talking without thinking. If you're new, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I really hope I can help you fall asleep. Now, this podcast does not work for everyone, but here's a proposal, and you're free to accept it or go about your business. Give it a few tries, see if it helps, see if it puts you to sleep, see if it relaxes you, makes you more comfortable. See how it goes. The podcast is free to consume, particularly for new listeners. You could come in and browse. You say, well, let me, what do you mean I can come in this restaurant, taste the food, and see what I think? I say, oh, yeah, because all of it's imaginary here. I do have a business I'm working on, sipping broth, so we could pretend it's that. You come in and you say, it's sipping broth. The first sip is free. That's not going to be our catchphrase, but that would be one of our tenants, you see. Well, how do you run things? Well, the first sip is free. It's a very small sip, though, and it's a regulated sip. And believe me, I'm behind the counter. And I say, whoa, you've had sorry. Comes in those ketchup, the paper things you could put just a dollop of ketchup in. Yeah, that's what we serve. Our first sip is free. Okay, sorry. New listeners. New listeners. I may have lost a few of you there. Maybe you fell asleep. Maybe you said, oh, wait, maybe this isn't for me. But if you're in the neutral zone, which is a pretty wide range of the spectrum, you might say, oh, I don't understand. When I say, yeah, kick back, see if this podcast can help. Don't try to overthink it because, I'm not running I don't know how many cylinders the average brain has. And some part of my brain just said, there's no cylinders. Then another part said, we're not cylindrical. And I said, great. Some of you were paying attention in the part of the C alphabet vocabulary. Cynical. Another part of my brain just yelled out cynical. Why would you do that? We were having fun with cylinder and cylindrical. And now I'm wanting to sing a song about, it's like I'd sing, it's not unusual to be cylindrical. If maybe a car could sing, maybe a car's already saying that, like a double A MCO. Maybe it's saying that song. No. Okay. Well, I got to get back to the new listeners. So nice to meet you. Whom are you? Really? I'm talking to a part of my brain that refuses to answer that question. Okay. Anyway, if you're a new listener, don't try to make too much sense of things because it's a bit of nonsense around here. And the whole idea of the nonsense type stuff in the going off topic. I mean, I'm good at going off topic naturally, and I'm good at nonsense actually naturally. But I believe it, brings some levity to bedtime. And soon you'll realize, yeah, okay, I can try to follow Scoots. I can follow him. But he goes, pointless meanders, send my voice across the deep dark night, lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones. Go off topic, all that stuff. So, just give it a few tries, see if it works. Structurally, what to expect. The show starts off with a few minutes of business. That's how we keep it free, as the people that support the show and the sponsors. Then there's an intro. We're about 7 minutes into the intro. Intros are around 12 minutes. They are not like anything other than a fun show within a show. Well, I say fun. Part of my brain just put quotes around it already. But it's a part of the show where you can get familiar, or there'll be some familiarity, some levity. There'll be some cylindrical thinking, for sure. This is strange. I don't always observe everything that's going on. Some part of my brain just yelled out stupendous, but just as a word, not saying what I said was stupendous. What is it? That's called free association, right? When I said cylindrical, another part of my brain said stupendous. And then, okay, we don't need you chiming in with other STU words unless it's sturgeon. Thank you. I'll take over from here. At least I'm in charge of the consciousness today. So the intro is kind of like a show within a show. Sometimes new people or people say, oh, it's like a bit of it's just a show within a show. Some people listen to it to fall asleep. Some people listen to it. More and more people I'm hearing from listen to it during the day to say, whoa, that was had some intensity to it. Let me listen to a little Scoots. Or, oh, I got to make that phone call later. Let me listen to some Scoots. So you could do that. A few people skip the intro. They go right to the story or the discussion of Doctor Who, which will be tonight. So however you do it, a lot of people also send me pictures when they play in the intro, their cats or their dogs. Or, I'd like to see some turtles coming. That would they say, Scoots, your intros are just the same length it takes my turtle to come get in bed with me. And I said, whoa, hold the phone here. You get in bed with the turtle. It kind of makes sense because you couldn't roll over on the turtle because if it would be in its shell, do turtles always sleep in their shells? That would be another thing. And I'm not talking about in cartoons. I'm talking about in reality. And here's another thing. What if a turtle oversleeps and then they do the same thing as humans do? When they stick their head out of the shell, they say, oh, the sun, what time is it? Holy mackerel. Now I'm going to be really late because it takes me forever to get, no offense. I'm not trying to make jokes at your expense, turtles. I'm just saying, if you're listening and you have a turtle as a bedmate, a real turtle, not a turtle-like being. Well, if you have a turtle-like being, it's a bedmate. Also but not someone in a turtleneck. You say, oh yeah, Randy wears a turtleneck to bed. Also, if they do, get in touch with me about that too. And also, that'd be interesting. You see, of course, when I started to sleep in turtlenecks, I never went back. They said, really, tell me more. I'm deep in this intro, but I was trying to tell the new listeners, but tell me more about wearing turtlenecks to bed. Well, which type? No, not a mock turtleneck, first off. And I don't know why they don't call those quarter turtlenecks or half turtlenecks. The double one where you fold it over, where you could go all, if you wanted to, you could, unroll it up to your nose. But you get a nice fold in there. And it's just, it's just like a comforter for my neck. What can I say? See, you're brilliant. You may have changed pajamas forever. Today on Sleep With Me. Can we does anybody have the number for pajamas today? That doesn't exist. What about pajamas weekly? The internet took them. What about pajamas monthly? Okay, they were purchased by Vanity Fair. Really? That's good. That's interesting. That's pajamas monthly. What about PJs? I get back to, sorry, yeah, you're right. Great. Do you edit for one of the PJ Monthly? What about PJ Quarterly? Oh, that's a quarterback, really. PJ Quarterly. They should run for office. This podcast episode was brought to you by PJ Quarterly. So anyway, if you're new, structure of the show. The intro goes on for a while. Then there's some business. Then we talk about a Doctor Who episode in a very meandering and indirect way. And then we have some thank yous and good nights. So it's a structure show. You're under no pressure to listen and no pressure to fall asleep. I'm here to keep you company as you drift off, to take your mind off of stuff, to be your bore friend, to be your bore bud, to be your friend in the deep dark night. You know why? Because I've been there, tossing and turning. I know how it feels. And I believe you deserve a good night's sleep. Or if you're having a rough day, or you did, something to say, hey, let's think about this. Let's think about whatever random stuff. It just rattled off 12 minutes of randomness. And, seriously, those last couple ideas, I think, have some merit. PJ Quarterly. Somebody think about naming, maybe you could, like, if you're entering if you're entering your turtle in a competition, I think that would be a good name for a turtle, especially one that you dress up as like a professor at Halloween. You'd say, I'd like to meet my turtle, PJ Quarterly. PJ for short, or Peach. Also, I sleep in the same bed as my turtle. So I just want to get, I don't know if that's a deal breaker. Oh, it is? Okay. What was it? The fact that my turtle had a first name and a last name and possibly two first names because PJ could stand for something? Or the fact, people's dogs sleep in their beds. Oh, maybe this could keep the conversation going. How does the turtle get in bed? Maybe it jumps it. You'd have to, okay, get back to the listener. Sorry about that. Okay, hey, so I'm here to keep you company. I'm here to put you in a good mood, ideally, or a neutral mood. You'd say, yeah, Scoots is him. I don't know what he was messing around last night. I don't know, something about some tortoise related, maybe tortoiseshell glass, a tortoise and tortoiseshell glasses. I can't believe I thought of this at the end of the intro. That's not a good thing. You're right, PJ. Maybe a PJ Quarterly. Meet my new subconscious, PJ Quarterly. If my subconscious is very turtle-like, and it has can you deal with my lizard brain, please? Thank you. Okay, so anyway, I'm here to help. I'm here to keep you company. I appreciate you checking this show out. Give it a few tries. And I want you to know I work very hard, and I yearn and I strive to help you fall asleep, all right? And here's a couple of ways we keep the show going. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature, anything going on that's keeping you awake. It could be anything. Like, you could be remembering someone that was drumming their fingers during a meeting today. And, that, like, I'm not here. It happens to me. I say, why didn't I, this could be thoughts about it. I say, why didn't I say anything about that friggin' drumming of the fingers that old Barry was doing? First of all, I was at an imaginary meeting, which is my own set of issues. That I was at a conference meeting with someone named Barry. I said, what are we here to do? What? I can't focus on, I didn't have the wherewithal to say, excuse me, Barry. I'm here to have an imaginary meeting with, I don't know, who's in this meeting. Oh, thank you. A point of order? Go ahead. Oh, I'm in the middle of a podcast intro? Secondary point of order. We're not using Robert's Rules of Order. Correct. I'm not a fan. Too many rules, Point of order number 3. Oh, we're at the beginning of podcast intro. Oh, boy. Sorry about that, new listeners. Went right off topic really early. Hopefully I'll get back to that meeting. Yeah, but whatever is keeping you awake, I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off. So what I'm going to do is send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use the lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, which you just saw a few of them. And I'm here to help. It's a nice, cozy, safe place. Now, I'll give you the news up front. If you're new, I'm glad you're here. And here's a couple of things to note. This podcast is very silly and goofy and counterintuitive. So see if you could kick back, just like you're at the meeting, but you're not invested, whatever meeting that was. I mean, maybe there is a part of me. Is this what is this duality? I don't know. Where I could be listening and enjoying Barry's, or maybe I could empathize with Barry and say, maybe after the meeting I'll check in with Barry and see what's up with the finger drumming. But for now, I got to focus on this meeting because I don't even know who called it. Also, yeah, there is the underlying tension. This meeting's going on within my... But also I'm in the middle of, okay. So this podcast goes off topic a lot, but it's here to just help. Now, it doesn't work for everybody, but give it a few tries. Another thing that doesn't always work for everybody, but kind of see how it goes, is that the podcast has this long intro, which is in a weird way an essential part of the show unless you skip it. Like if you skip it, that means it's not essential for you. You could skip ahead to 18 minutes. But I really don't want you to miss out on this part because this is like the part where people start to wind down. Also, and this is like, this is the only thing where you never know what's going to happen, but you know you could sleep through it. Yeah, I don't think that phrase has ever been uttered before in the history of, first for humanity. Tonight on Sleep With Me, during the intro, anything could happen, but nothing you'll need to be awake for, or that you'll be like, holy cow, what did I miss? Because you say, well, honey, what did I miss? I fell asleep last night during the intro. I thought that was the wind down, I brushed my teeth. I got into bed. I prepped, I puffed my pillows. I started just feeling the cross breeze we have going. And Scoots was talking. I was planning on just, easing into bed and then maybe falling asleep at, some point. But next thing I know, I was asleep. What happened? Well, honey, actually, I don't know. I was asleep too. I'm pretty sure he invented a new musical instrument called the finger drum. Though it may not have been a finger. I think he was talking about, or maybe he was talking about a meeting of finger drummers, or something. That's interesting. I remember a conference table, and then I pictured it so comfortable, and I was sleeping on it, and so that's okay. Anyway, so excuse me, couple. I'm sorry. I don't know if you checked out our sponsor Zola yet, but excuse me. I was just talking to another new listener. I didn't mean to interrupt your breakfast. Oh, hey, Scoots. Thanks for putting us to sleep last night. Hey, no problem. I was just trying to give an example. I've never actually interviewed a couple. I've only replayed your conversations for listeners, but I've never had a chance to interview. You two look lovely. I've never seen two people look so radiant before at this time of the morning. Well, Scoots, is because you put us to sleep so good. Well, great. You mind explaining kind of what the intro is for the new listener? Well, it's intro, hey, new listener, it's me. I'm a regular lunchbox tote and sleep with me listener here. And I just wanted you to know the intro it seems at first like a drawn out, purposeless thing. But it's actually, strangely enough, I don't think it's a technique that Scooter uses. No offense, Scooter, none taken. Lunchbox toting member of the Sleep With Me community. Thanks, Scooter. But yeah, it's where he explains what the podcast is. He never gets there. But it's kind of fun. It adds some levity to bedtime. I think that's the main goal. Let you know there's a community, that it's important you're listening. but that there's a community of other listeners there. Hun, what else does Scooter do during the intro? Well, thanks, Sweetums. I'm actually a brown bag toting member of the Sleep With Me community. No lunchbox for me. But, I make my own lunch. And he explains the structure of the show, where it starts off with a few minutes of business. Then there's the intro, which we're talking about right now. So that's pretty meta. And the intros are around 12 to 14 to 17 to 16 to 15 minutes or so. A show within a show. Then between the intro and the story is some business, too. That's what keeps the podcast free for everybody. Then after that, there's a story. I think today it'll be they're called Tuesday-style stories, even though the podcast doesn't come out on Tuesdays. So it could be about anything, but we know it'll be nice and soothing and stuff. Then there's some thank yous at the end. That's the structure of the show. In Sugar Cakes, why don't you tell them a couple of the rules of the podcast? Oh, thanks, Honey Pie. No, Scooter, I was talking to Sugar Cakes, not to you, Scooter. Oh, okay. Oh, thanks, Honey Poo. Sorry, Scooter, we have pet names for each other because we're in a relationship. You're just our boar friend, our boar bae. Oh, that's perfect. Thanks, Honey Buns. Scooter. So, no, I was just I wasn't making fun of your pet names. It's an instinctual thing for me. I call my dog Sugar Pop Pie sometimes, and it doesn't. Oh, Scooter, I might use that one. Okay, anyway, so then, what were we talking about? Oh, the rules. No need to listen to the podcast. I think we've made that pretty abundantly clear. But just expect Scooter to go off topic, and that's part of the fun part, but it's also part of that's hard to follow. So ideally, it's just interesting enough to take your mind off of stuff, but you say, well, I don't really need to listen to Scooter. As much as we love you, Scooter, that part. And the other thing is there's no pressure to fall asleep. That's what I really like. A lot of things you say, there's sleep solutions or sleep cures. Scooter's just your sleep bud. He's here to be there for you while you fall asleep. Rubber Ducky Poo, what do you, oh, thanks, washcloths of my dreams. He also lets you know that you deserve a good night's sleep, but he's there to just walk at your side as you drift off so you can listen. The other important thing is if you can't sleep, he's there to the very end. And there's a bunch of other episodes ready to go. So it's not so much a sleep podcast as a podcast to listen to as you fall asleep, I guess. Scooter, you have anything to add about your own podcast? Well, thank you both so much. That was lovely. I don't think I could have done a better job if I needed to, except I don't know if washcloths in my dream. I may have changed that. Oh wait, this is also in my imagination. Wow. Okay, well that's interesting. I think those are real listeners, to be honest with you, or a very good. Those are. Okay, I guess I'm part of my brain. You know what, Barry? You could drum your fingers all you want. I'm here to help you too, Bear. Barry, I think drumming your fingers is a bit of a metaphor for the podcast. Just like those listeners said, it gives you something to do while you're doing something else. And maybe the physical drumming of the fingers takes your mind off and allows you to focus on the meeting. And you know what, Barry? Maybe it just feels good for you. And that's really my goal, is to make bedtime feel a little bit better. I mean, I strive to make it feel good, to make you feel safe and distracted, ensconced in lulls. But if I just get close, you say, well, it's pretty decent having scoots around at bedtime to take my mind off stuff. So that's what I do. That's why I'm here. And if you're just checking the show out, I really appreciate it. I mean, I really hope I can help. And I know it doesn't work for everybody. This show is not everybody's taste. But I do know that, we have a lot of loyal listeners who said, yeah, it took 2 or 3 tries, or first me not liking the podcast. And I know it's strange. I'm not trying to sell you on the podcast. I only hope it helps you. But a lot of people say, well, yeah, give it 2 or 3 tries. And then if it does, then move, there's LibriVox. There's Sleep Whispers. There's Slow Radio. Is a new one, Sleepy. So there's other stuff out there, plenty of other stuff. My Noise, that's another one I've been playing with lately. So give some of those a try, too. But I'm here to help you. Those are all free mentions. Because, even if this podcast doesn't work for you, I still believe you deserve a good night's sleep. And I really desire that for you. And where you can go out tomorrow and flourish. And the reason I say that is because I've been there. That's why I work so hard on this show. And that's why I yearn and I strive to help you fall asleep. And that's why I say thank you again for coming by. And by the way, here's a couple of ways we keep the show going. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time, temperature, stuff you're thinking, whatever it is, whatever's keeping you awake. It could be physical. It could be something you're experiencing. It could be, where you are, work schedule, whatever it is. I'd like to help. I'd like to take your mind off of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my voice across the deep dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I'm going to go off topic and use lots of ums and ahs. And if you're new, here's a few things. This podcast is a little bit different, so give it a few tries. It might be different than what you're expecting. And so sometimes it's just easier to just kind of passively view it. Because this is one of the few podcasts you don't really need to listen to. There's no pressure to listen. And even though it's a podcast to put you to sleep, there's no pressure to fall asleep. I'm going to be here for about an hour to keep you company. And it's more of a podcast here while you fall asleep. So I'll be here till the end. If you can't sleep, queue up a few episodes. I'm happy to hang here and keep you company. I'm happy to hang here and be your bore bud. So those are a couple things. You don't need to listen. You don't need to make a whole lot of sense of this. But there's also no pressure to fall asleep. You deserve a good night's sleep. That's why I'm here. Structurally, what to expect. The show starts off with a few minutes of business. That's really how we keep the show free, are the people that take action on that stuff. So thank you to those people. So that's a few minutes of business. Then there's the intro. Now, the intro is kind of a part of the show, or a show within a show, that a lot of people use. The majority of listeners use it as part of their bedtime routine. Some listeners skip ahead to the story. You could just skip ahead about 18 minutes is normally a good place to skip ahead. And then some listeners fall asleep during the intro. And the intro is kind of just me trying to describe what the podcast is, to set the mood, to let you know, like what I said, you don't really need to listen. And I'm here to help. I'm here to earn your trust and not to assume you're going to give it to me. If you're new, of course you're going to be skeptical. And I think this, like the long intros of the show, in some strange way, will make a lot of people more skeptical. Because there's about 12 or 14 minutes of this friendly banter. And you say, well, when's the bedtime story start? Well, about 18 minutes it starts. But this is part of the bedtime story because, again, this podcast works more slow. It's not like, oh, you should be asleep instantly or whatever. It's more a friendly voice in the deep dark night. So yeah, I'm here to help. And let's see. So that's the intro. It's kind of me explaining that. And then there's a story. Tonight it's our episodic series, Big Farm in the Sky, PI. Season 2 of that, but really it's all episodic. It's kind of just like a mystery, similar to like something like Encyclopedia Brown or Big Nate, Thea or Geronimo Stilton, however you like your Stiltons. Some people might like it as cheese. Some people might like it as people that eat cheese, like Thea and Geronimo. I don't know if I've read any Thea-only books, so I'm not exactly sure if those are mysteries. But however you like your kid mysteries, you could say, well, I'm old school, Nancy Drew or nothing, and I say, no problem, got you covered. And these are kind of mundane mysteries. Tonight it'll be about a cupcake. You probably saw the title of the episode. So that'll be the bedtime story. Between the intro and the story is some business. That's, again, how we keep the show free. And then there's thank yous at the end. So that's the structure of the show. And what else? What else? I did have something that I came up when I was talking and that I already forgot about, which is a pretty standard part of these intros. A lot of times I come back to this. I make the show because I've been there and I know how it feels. I know how it feels not to be able to fall asleep, or I don't know, like just for me lately, my normal go-to method and routine isn't working. And I'm trying to find this new balance. And I actually have I guess this is a strange thing to say. First off, if you're looking for a podcast to listen to, check out West Wing Weekly. Because that's going to come up in this little side tangent I'm about to take. But a few months ago, I did an episode about top holiday specials. And one of the maybe I talked about this recently, and then one of the West Wing episodes from the TV show from the late 90s, early aughts, The West Wing. It was considered one of the top holiday specials. So I started watching this. Now, don't ask me to do West Wing podcast content because you can't do that. And now most people just talk about West Wing. This is all fictional stuff. So that's why I'm comfortable talking about an intro. I just facepalmed my head saying, what am I? But so this TV show, I started watching it. And I watched the holiday episode, and I said, wow, this is a very comforting show to me. And there's a lot going on. And it's very, very, very well written and very well directed, and the performances are amazing. And so I started watching it for relaxation as part of my wind down, actually, where I said, well, let me catch 40, whatever it is on Netflix. It's 44 minutes. And then I can listen to the West Wing Weekly, kind of talk. Well, they're way ahead of me, but so I'm still in season 1. But it's just cool to hear other people's thoughts or what was going on, hear stuff through the actor's eyes. And so really cool. Great world of podcasting. Same thing with Survivor, and Rob has a podcast, and Josh Wigler and Rob. Rob and Josh and everything, just complimenting something you already enjoy. But I added this show into my bedtime routine for the most part, and I tried to do it a little bit earlier, which means I have to get start my bedtime routine earlier to have that 45 minutes, or it'll impinge on, the rest of my bedtime routine, which is kind of doing some light journaling or writing, ideally some foam rolling, and then 30 minutes of fiction reading, which is strangely enough in the vein of, as I'm recording this, I've been reading Sherlock Holmes. Kind of keep my frame of references of solving mysteries and stuff. But what was my point? So I enjoy West Wing, and I don't find it stimulating. I do find it stimulating from a creative standpoint. And because there's so many plot lines normally in an episode, I find it easier to engage with. I find myself less distracted to do podcast work and just watch the show. And also, like a podcast, the West Wing, the characters are so well developed and so well performed and written that you kind of feel like that you know them. I guess, at least for me, I say, what is, especially, Rob Lowe's character, who, of course, now Sam. And probably Toby, kind of, if any, say, Scooch, what West Wing, I don't think you'd have to ask what West Wing character. You say, well, I'd like to be Sam. I'm like Toby without the brains. So, I mean that in without the intellect. I guess I know I have brains. I'm an intelligent person. But the characters are written with this such high intellect and performed that you say, well, there just are people with that kind of intellect and stuff that I don't have. But in some way they say, well, but I have the grouchy part of Toby down. And this thing of like some of the other belief systems. But anyway, so what was I talking about? So I don't find it keeps me up because I find it like, even though you would think it's heavy fare, and for some people it may be heavy fare, for me, it's just so creatively, I guess the content, it's so creatively impressive that the actual content is just icing on the cake. I don't know if that makes sense or if I'm even understanding what I'm trying to explain, but suddenly I have this new thing in my bedtime routine, and I don't think it's the West Wing's fault, though maybe it is. Maybe I got to, and you say, well, I replaced watching the news with watching a fictional TV show called The West Wing. But where was my point? I don't know, but I've been having trouble sleeping lately, and like the fiction part, I don't know, and so I guess my main thing is that's why I make the show, because I know what it's like, and I know how frustrating it can be, or how even it can have small impact. Like this week, I've been setting my alarm later. Like usually I get up pretty early to do what I like to do in the morning before I have to get my daughter ready for school and stuff. And lately I've been sleeping a half hour later because they say, well, I need my sleep first. So I don't know. What I mean is that it's an honor for me to help anybody I can get a good night's sleep. I truly, and I deeply, deeply believe you deserve a good night's sleep. A bedtime free of hassle and rigmarole. You deserve a life where you can be out there flourishing and treat yourself and others with dignity and respect. And I think a good rest comes with all that. So it's my honor to make this show. It's something I pour my heart, my soul, and my time into. Mostly to be fun. This intro is more of a, I don't know. I mean, that's, I guess, what West Wing for me is. It's, say, Scoots, what are you trying to say? Well, I have fun watching West Wing. I think that's what I was trying to say. You're right. Get to TLDR brain. That's good. But you're right. It's just fun. And so I guess my point back to you, TLDR brain, is that I'm baffled that something nice and fun and sweet, I'd say there's a lot of sweet in, did I say The Good Place or The West Wing? I meant The West Wing. The Good Place is sweet too, but why am I having trouble sleeping then? Is it unrelated? Is it just baffling? Yes, Goots, sometimes it's just baffling. You're right, and that's why I make this show. That's why I strive and I work very hard, strive and I yearn to help you fall asleep. Now, if you're new, give it a few tries. But I really appreciate you coming by and checking the show out. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show free and going. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, whatever's keeping you awake. I'd like to take your mind off of that, distract you from that. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, rustified tangents. I'll be wearing meanderwear, which enables me, but believe it or not, they say, oh, this has compression. I hear that. They say, oh, this stuff's compression. When they say that, it just means it's really tight, and it may be from some spandex material. Also, they stopped using spandex for the most part. I think that's probably like a brand. But at one point, the spandex was you didn't make cats' pajamas out of spandex, but maybe a cat would like that. I doubt it. And it's been a while since we talked about cats' pajamas and me underwear, so maybe that's what we'll talk about later. But if you're new, here's a few things. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. And I hope this podcast can help you fall asleep. Now, it doesn't work for everybody, so give it a few tries. See if it works for you. I hope it does, because I think you deserve a good night's sleep. Everyone does, and you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect and have this nice, relaxing place to check out. But here's a few things of note. Don't try to make too much sense of this podcast. It's a lot of nonsense and me goofing around and thoughts on top of thoughts, confused with thoughts. And you say, Scoots, spandex stock is at an all-time high. When I go off and I expound on spandex. Or it could be the opposite thing. Scooch, you didn't hear about the great spandex, the shortage. Oh, us here, wherever, really, I say, okay, I'm sorry about that. I tend to be, so don't try to make too much sense of the podcast. That's one thing. Kind of kick back, maybe consume it somewhat passively, kind of just like you're watching the clouds go by. So that's one thing. Structurally, what to expect. Show starts off with a few minutes of business. That's how we keep the podcast free and going. Are the people who actively participate and the sponsors are supporting the show. Then we have an intro. The intros are normally around 12 minutes of me trying to explain what the podcast is, which you'll see we're right in the middle of it, towards the beginning, maybe the first third so far. And it's kind of a show within a show. Some listeners get ready for bed during it or have their wind down routine. Some listeners fall asleep during the intros. Some listeners that listen during the day, particularly intro, they say, well, it calms me down. It helps me put things in perspective. A few people skip the intros, so whatever works. But it's a show within a show where I explain what the podcast is and give you something familiar, something new, and something, I was trying to think of a word, but burrowed in a pillow to keep you from feeling blue. Not quite the rhyme I was looking for, but it's close. And so that's the intro. Then there'll be some business between the intro and the show. Then tonight we'll be talking about Doctor Who, but in the most tangential, indirect way you could ever imagine. Saying, well, are those bifocals? Oh, interesting. K9. If a canine doesn't have canines, is it still a canine? So that might be something I would go on a tangent about. And you say, well, I don't remember that episode of Doctor Who, but I kind of do. Kind of like you if you had watched the episode of Doctor Who, 4 months later you had a dream about it. And they said, well, geez, Brad, what's going on? You look distracted. I think I had a dream about Doctor Who last night. Oh, hubba, which doctor? The witty one, hardy har. But yeah, I don't remember the dream. Anyway, so that's the Doctor Who coverage. Then we have some thank yous at the end. That's the structure of the show. A couple of other things you might want to remember. You don't really have to listen to this podcast. You can kind of listen. You can barely listen. You could turn me down. There's people who listen just for the sound. They say, well, I don't even... One, I'm not exactly sure what dialect of the English language you're speaking anyway. But, I don't know if I understand what you're saying. So I just listen for the noise. I said, great. So you don't need to listen, but you can. I'll be here till the end to keep you company if you can't sleep. Or if you're having, struggling or you're waking up in the middle of the night or you're stressed during the day. I'm here to the very end. To be your boyfriend, to be your borbay. To be your companion in the deep, dark night. But you don't need to listen to me, even though, that's, I guess, I don't think that's irony, but, so you don't need to listen. And there's also no pressure to fall asleep. And maybe that's where the irony comes in. I'm here to keep you company as you drift off, to take your mind and say, hey, let's look over here. What kind of shoes was the doctor wearing this week? Did we ever figure out if that was a raincoat or a duster? And here's something I never asked. Did people dust their dusters? with a duster. You'd say, well, what about a dustbuster? Did Dustbusters ever have an ad with a dustbuster and a duster? Or, I think they missed the boat back then. Now, that's not a thing. It was like a portable vacuum. But I don't know if they ever personified the dustbuster. They said, well, we got to lock down. We got Xerox, we got Google, we got Spandex, and we got Dustbuster. And I'd say, well, 1 out of 4 ain't bad. That's still, kind of Xerox is still a thing, maybe. And also they do the Spandex and Dustbuster were on it. Well, Google wasn't around. And you say, you're lucky Google wasn't around when you were then. Because people would say, what is Spandex? And they'd say, super tight, whatever it is. Is Lycra and Spandex the same thing, or are those different? That's another question I may have. Also, while I was talking, the cats got through to me. They said they don't want any spandex for their cats' pajamas. And I said, okay, well, back to the old cat pajama lab then, because I was thinking, and I said this to the cats, believe it or not, this was during the intro. And I said, are you sure about that? Because you're just having a reaction, because they say, some people like to be swaddled. They got heavy blankets. Maybe some cats would like a tight pajama. And I realized this isn't an SAT question. I'm not saying all cats like tight pajamas. But I'm saying, therefore, some cats don't, like spandex pajamas. You're saying all cats don't like pajamas, which I've based an entire business on the fact that one day they will love pajamas. Some cats, most cats could love pajamas. And then some cats love spandex pajamas or Lycra. We could get it, or we could just say, no, you don't want any compression pajamas. What about me? What about some cats like meander? What about kitten? What about we put some catnip in there? That might be that wouldn't be good for bedtime. The cat's mothers just called in. The mothers of all cats, they said, please don't do that. Please don't put catnip in anything. Especially at bedtime. I said, no problem, moms, kitten moms, consider it done. But kitten moms, could I interest you in something, in a Lycra or spandex or a yoga pant, like one leg of a yoga pant, which I'm assuming is some material like a Lycra or spandex, but maybe they said it went generic. Does that happen to clothing just like it does with, other things? You say, well, back in the 80s, you could only get spandex, but, once that patent ran out, man, you could just get it where, you didn't have to pay the full markup. You didn't have to pay the full markup for, or you didn't have to get Lycra. You could finally get span, and they said, okay. But now they don't have, I guess I'm just wondering, and my thoughts are petering out. Partly because I realized the answer may be totally, you say scooter, man. Yeah. They said, well, maybe it fell out of taste. People said, well, spandex, it's the kind of thing you use, what do you use? You use it for biking. You use it for, maybe, I don't know what other things. When you want something super tight, but then they say, oh, okay, well, we got I don't know. So I don't know what happened to spandex. I know kittens and cats and cat mothers, they don't seem interested, but I could say, well, hey, kitten mothers, hey, cats, we've partnered, with the yoga pant, the big yoga pant company with the symbol. I forget, they're called like something, Omicron Delta or whatever it is. And, something like, something like Omicron Delta. And, oh boy, they have their own patented, blend of fabrics, Lycra and spandex. Also, no catnip in there. But whatever keeps cats calm, if there's some material, and then also cotton, of course, maybe some horsehair in there. I don't think horsehair would be good for bedtime either. You're right, cat moms. Good thing we're doing this research thing right in the middle of a podcast intro. But yeah, we partnered with that company. So actually what I did was I bought all the extra, the short, what do they call those seconds or whatever? I got the fourths. They said, well, one leg is, these ones, we made the legs 2 different sizes. And I'd say, it's great. I'm going to cut them up anyway and make them into, cat swaddlers. You see, your cat needs to be swaddled. To swaddle a cat, only if they want, only the few cats, a small percentage of cats in the world that want to be swaddled. Which, okay, so that didn't work out. I guess no cats want to be swaddled, but I'd like to swaddle you with my words, or not, give you as much space as you want. I'm here to take your mind off stuff, to keep you company, so you can fall asleep, because I've been there in the deep, dark night. I believe you deserve a good night's sleep, and I'm here to help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be talking here. Yeah, just kick back, see how it goes. But I work very hard. Give it a few tries. Like many reviewers say, it took a few tries. But I'm here to help. I work very hard and I earn a nice strive, and I want to help you fall asleep. Thanks so much. And let's hear a couple of ways we keep this show going. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, BetterHelp. I've talked about my own journey with my own mental health, my own use of a licensed professional therapist, because I guess I want to normalize it for you and say, yeah, it's not easy. 2020 and 2021 have not been easy, but I want to empower you to take steps to take care of yourself, whether you're feeling depressed, you're struggling with your relationships, you're having difficulty sleeping, meeting your goals. Tonight's sponsor, BetterHelp, offers online professional counselors who can listen and help. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally available in many areas. The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. In that way, you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. And BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. And people close to me, people in my personal life, have utilized the services of BetterHelp, and they are really happy with it. And our podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and our listeners get 10% off their first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/sleepwithme. Visit betterhelp.com/sleepwithme. That's betterhelp.com/sleepwithme, and join the over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced BetterHelp professional. Thanks, everybody. Hey, everybody, Scoots here. Before I tuck in, I just want to let you know about our referral program. That's where you can get great rewards for free, just referring people to the podcast. And you can do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer, REFER. And you just let people know about the podcast. Use this special link. You share it on social media or wherever, you share online. And you could even earn ad-free episodes, and the way to get into our, what do you call that, our like little secret club that there's really no way to get into unless you hear an opportunity or you see an opportunity that I announce. And that's our Wall of Fame and our Dream Door Society. And Cornelia is already well beyond that in referrals, so it's very, very possible. And I haven't checked it in the last couple of weeks, but I'm sure a couple other people are up there getting close. But it all starts with that first referral. And you just let people know, hey, this is a podcast that helps me fall asleep, that I enjoy listening to. That's at sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer, REFER. Thanks, everybody.